Hi, it's Gab and Philip. I'm not calling him Dad because we're reviewing A Good Day to Die Hard, which is about some father-child issues where the adult child, it's disrespectful, isn't it, to call your parent by their name and not Dad?
I think it depends. I mean, I think for some people it's politically correct, it's sort of avant-garde, it shows you're going with the flow. For other people, it's just disrespectful. I'd be one of the latter group.
Okay, Phil, well, tell us what the movie's about.
What's the movie about? Well, that's hard to say. It's set in Russia, but then so was War and Peace mostly. It is about bad guys trying to do bad things, and Bruce Willis and the person who plays his son trying to stop them. And there's a lot of shooting and a lot of explosions and a very long car chase. And that's about it.
It's a Die Hard movie. It's the fifth Die Hard movie.
Shall we say a little weak on plot? It's not really a plot, as I like to say, a plot-driven movie.
Right. It's dumb fun, as I like to say.
Dumb fun.
And was it fun? I mean, yeah, it's all action. It's one-liners, although one of my complaints is not enough funny one-liners. This kind of movie, you need to have the one-liners fast and furious. Zingers. And they meant not all, hit the mark, but you need them. And I found that very weak. The dialogue, the humor was more in the outlandish action rather than in any kind of zippy dialogue.
Although the relationship between the Bruce Willis character, John McClane, is that his name? And his son,
John
Jr., there was a certain amount of humor to that. Not a lot.
It was pretty strange, very cliche. They're estranged, and Bruce Willis, John McClane, goes to sort of try to rein in his wayward son, and gets caught up, and then they bond through the bloody mayhem.
I mean, let's face it. This film is about shooting and explosions.
Yes, I can't argue with that.
And one of the things that strikes me about the shooting, as I mentioned to you, is what bad shots these people are. I mean, the number of rounds fired is huge. The number of clips is huge. It's huge. I mean,
that's typical.
But almost nobody gets hit.
The good guy always has the good shot, and the bad guys have the bad shots. Yeah. I mean, everything in this film is action cliche, from that, as you mentioned, to the car chase, cars flying every which way, the helicopter crash. Done well. I thought the action sets were the central pieces were handled nicely for what they were, but nothing that extraordinary. And in between, my God, like the plot was just not even complicated, just sort of dumb, and you don't even care what's happening.
Yeah,
really. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, I don't think anybody paid much attention to the plot. It was
and I said to you, it seemed very old-fashioned to have Russian terrorist bad guys, the uranium, and
who would be kind of progressive.
It seemed about 20 years behind.
If it was a real contemporary film, who would the bad guys be?
That's a good question. I don't know. But another thing that made it feel very old-fashioned is there was a real
members of the Republican Party.
That's right. There was a real lack of technology, which is not necessarily a criticism, but again, it gave it the sort of old-fashioned feel.
All that bows and arrows stuff.
Not bows and arrows, but guns, cars, and helicopter were the main.
What should they have used?
Well, there was no. I mean, the younger McClane is in the CIA, and so a young guy, CIA, you expect lots of sort of Bluetooth, computer, GPS, all that's going mobile, right? All that sort of thing.
Right.
So when you have a Skyfall, when you have the Bourne films, you sort of notice that this is not that. You might prefer that. You might say that that's an advantage.
This film could have been made 20 years ago easily.
Yeah, and for me, in this right now, it didn't do it for me. I'm not looking for something that old-fashioned.
Didn't you think Bruce Willis was looking a little paunchy?
Talk about old-fashioned. Well, I think he's in his 60s.
Well, he was kind of a little paunchy.
But that's the character. I mean, I think that it's realistic in that he's a bit rough around the edges.
Paunchy.
We like Bruce Willis, though. You can't help but like him. But overall...
Well, somewhat to my surprise, I sort of enjoyed this movie. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it, and I didn't enjoy it tremendously. I wouldn't want you to be under misapprehension.
He saw Taken 2 the other day.
I saw Taken 2 on an airplane. I really hated it. Liam Neeson is, of course, my candidate for the world's worst actor, and I know many people out there agree with me. Look at The Grave, for example, terrible.
Please don't get into that.
But
we're losing our viewers by the
Taken 2
hundreds.
is really embarrassing.
So how is this better?
How is this better? Well, I mean, Taken 2. Well, that's a good question, actually. The plot is even dumber in Taken 2. and there is no comparable action scenes.
And
really
it's
good
humorless,
action.
isn't
And
it?
it's
Would you
totally,
say? Okay.
totally humorous.
So that's the main problem. Yeah,
But
you
now-
need humor with it, tongue in cheek with these films.
Before this Bruce Willis film we just saw, the last film I saw a day or two ago was Amour, and that's another kind of die-hard film.
Die Hard.
And on that note,
Right.
I say goodbye.
Well, how many dads?
Oh, how many dads?
Die Hard.
3 and a
Day to
quarter.
Die. 3 1/4 dads?
Yes.
2.5 Gabs. Did you expect that? I didn't see that coming.
There you go.
There you go.
There's
Good
a lot of
day for
there's a lot of things you don't see
generation
coming.
divide.
There's a lot of things you don't see coming, except in that film where you see everything, everything
But
coming.
not on Gab Dad.
Not on Gab Dad.
It was a twist today.
A twist.
Thanks for watching.
A twist. A tale with a twist.